Hello. Hello, my friends. Okay, there we go. So this is a part three of Amanda's gab sesh about her story and journey on this beautiful planet called Earth. So yesterday I finished off with like the tail end of high school, and I will say that high school was a great time for me. Like it really was. Once I mustered up a lot more self confidence with like playing rugby and sports and stuff. I really found friends that were dear to me, and my extracurricular activities with playing rugby and figure skating. It was a great time, and I will say that my high school rugby coach was and still is the most inspirational man I've ever known. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't be where I am today. And it's funny, my mom was always like a workaholic. She would always, well, she wasn't a workaholic. She just spent way too much time caring about like finding marks for kids, and she's a school teacher. So we would always spend so much time after school, and she'd be marking tests, and like she really cared, is what it boiled down to. And so I would always like go down to his it was a shop room or shop tech, whatever. And we would just chat, and we would have so many life chats, and that really, really created such a strong bond between the two of us going into my final year in high school. And we were like, we won everything in rugby. We won everything, and it was amazing. And if it weren't for him, I honestly wouldn't have made it into St. FX University, because two of the girls that I went to high school with, they applied, Sarah and Rachel. And I remember I remember thinking like, man, they've both gotten in. What's like the holdup with me? And I know both of my references, because my references were epic. My history teacher and my rugby teacher, and I know that they both wrote me amazing recommendations. Anyway, Mike Kavanaugh literally like called the school and was like, "Hey, we've like, what's going on? Like Amanda, she's missing a reference and blah blah blah." And I remember that day so distinctly. Mike Kavanaugh, he's the rugby coach at St. FX University, and he called and talked to Grant Beckingham, my rugby coach and shop teacher in high school. And yeah, they're like, whether she's missing a reference, and like it was like, boom. I remember Grant rewrote his reference, sent it again. I don't know if it got lost in the mail or what happened, but sent it off, and then uh, Mike Kavanaugh was just like, "Yep, yeah, okay, the administration offices got it," and like, because I know he really wanted me, and anyway, and like by the end of that evening, I was accepted to school, and it was really really cool. And then I got my acceptance letters and everything like in the mail. And yeah, I had a really awesome grade 12 year. I had finished all my sciences and all my tough courses, so I took nothing but like welding and create and art and like gym. And so I had a really fun last year, and yeah, lots of partying, lots of drinking, lots of like finishing the rugby games and then going up to the clubhouse and all of that fun stuff. And so when I made it to Saint FX, and it's interesting because like I didn't really know what I wanted to do. All I know that like if it weren't for rugby, I would have been in art school. Period. There's no way I would have gone to university. There is a way I would have gone to university, but I would have gone to like the College of Craft and Design, or I would have like gone to university and I would have taken like art. I feel like I fucked up. Period. Because um yeah, I haven't really done anything with my science degree and, well, human kinetics degree. But anyway, I'm rambling. But my first year, so Amanda goes out into the great big world. I started university at like 17 and, or 18. I'm 18, I think. But I remember being super, super young. And it was a lot, but I had the most amazing year of rugby I think I've ever had in my career. I went to St. FX and I feel as though like the difference between that caliber of rugby and high school rugby was just astronomical. Like in high school, I had to like hold back a lot because I would be like breaking people's arms and like trampling over them. Like the the caliber wasn't there. Anyway, so I'll go to St. FX and my first year was like amazing. I was like away from Little Belle Isle in and going out and like having all of the fun, and I was super super successful in rugby. And I made Team Canada U19 team. I got Rookie of the Year at St. FX. I can't remember where we placed that year. I think we placed like second or something like that at nationals, but don't quote me on that. See, and this is how much I blocked out university. But it was a time for yeah, just a lot of drinking, a lot of fun, and like I just remember always playing and like the theme parties and the like drinking games and getting dressed up and like going to rugby games, and it was just like so much fun. And playing rugby on a team of like 40 people, it was like I instantly had this huge family that was all that had like this same common goal. um but I had these kind of thoughts in the back of my head where I was like, I felt like I had to go to university because it was like what my dad told me I was going to do, and it was like what my grandfather wanted me to do. And in retrospect, I really wish I had someone that like sat me down and like took me through the qualities that I, really embody, and really, really I've made a vision with someone to be like, I want to be a physiotherapist, or I want to be a painter, or I want to be a digital videographer. Like I didn't really properly um, scout out my options. I was just like, I'm going to go major in rugby and minor in drinking. And that's really sad now that I think about it, because I think I missed a lot of opportunities outside of rugby. So yeah, it was an amazing time. Like my first year, I got so much praise, and I did like okay in school. But like I said before, like I'm an epic Jane of all trades. So school and getting work done was just it came easy to me, and I'm really good at cramming and la la la. But I loved meeting new people. Like I had, oh man, I remember my first like training camp. I remember like meeting people, and it was like this rivalry with sisterhood, but at the same time it's like we're both competing for like the same thing, and just having that intensity because I'm an intense person. Um it was amazing. And I remember that winter of my first year, I got to go to the UK to play rugby with Team Canada, and it was amazing. And so my first year was like the best year ever. But in between my first and second year of university, I was coaching rugby. I was coaching like a club team in St. John, New Brunswick, and I was coaching and playing, which is just, it was silly. And this is the thing, I should have never even really come home to university. I should have like gone to Ontario or stayed in Halifax and played like club for a really like a better team, because in New or should have played for Fredericton. But anyway, I was like coaching teams, and like the thing about club teams is sometimes people show up, sometimes people don't show up. There isn't really just like the numbers. And yeah, I tore my ACL, but I didn't know I tore my ACL because I was showing people how to like run this drill, and we were missing people, and this like young girl whose skills were just like through the toilet. She threw me a bad pass, and I twisted my knee. And anyway, so when I went back to my second year of university, I remember I played on the wing, because usually I play in the centers, if you guys are like rugby people. But I played on the wing, and I remember my knee kept giving out and swelling up. It kept giving out and swelling up. It kept giving out and swelling up. And this is the truth of how disconnected I was from my body and from pain. Pain for me was like fine. I could be like, and just go on. And so when my knee kept blowing up and blowing up, I was like, I don't know, there's something going on in here and I don't really know. And but like I can tolerate it. And this is the thing, I can tolerate it and I can push through it and I can make it work. And I remember, yeah, that was a tough year because I just felt like I wasn't on my A game. It was nothing in comparison to like the year before. I was playing on the wing, so I didn't get as much of the ball. And I remember there was like so many more lesbians on my team that year. It was kind of wild. And yeah, I just think with the mixed emotions and like looking for like emotional support, I leaned heavily on like drinking and smoking tons of weed. And that was the first year that I was really, really curious about exploring my sexuality with women. And there was this one girl who, and in my mind, and I say this like as a very young, like naive, stupid 19-year-old. I think I was 19. I think I turned 19 the second semester of that second year. Yeah, I think that's right. So it's like 18, 19. I was really, really open to exploring my sexuality, and I did with this one teammate, and who was much, much older. She had like come back and for education or something like that. And I was just like having all of the fun. And what I didn't realize is that like I was actually on a very different page than her. And yeah, that year, after the season, we went and I got an MRI and found out that my ACL was torn. And I was like absolutely heartbroken because I'd already played that season on a torn ACL, which means like, and I had to wait for surgery, got into surgery, and then I'd have to take off the whole next year, the third year. And so my second year was like, and I was so stressed out about like rugby and trying to make Team Canada and all of these things and my knee that I like developed an ulcer as well because I was like staying up late and like honestly I had just no way of really navigating my feelings and my emotions and like what was present and like from all, and it's wild when I think about back to university because I used to just have these emotional explosions and I would and like that's why rugby was so good for me is because it was an outlet for explosion and for power and for physicality. And since I wasn't able to like fully play all out that year, I feel as though it was like, oh my gosh, there's so much energy in my body and it's bubbling up and it would come out in anger and it would come out in tears and it would come out in all these things. And so when I developed this ulcer, I got into like excessively smoking weed and yeah, and I was like super close with a couple of girls on my rugby team and it was awesome. Like it was a fun year, but it was like a down year. And then that summer I went home and I had ACL surgery, and it was actually a really positive experience for me because it was, you know, something gives when your body is like exhausted. And that's the thing. I think with years of figure skating and years of rugby and years of pushing things and like even my mentality, that's just like a very addictive mentality. It's like you work out the hardest, you do this the hardest, you do that the hardest, and then like school kind of took the back burner because I didn't have my purpose developed in the school. And so, in the schoolwork. And so, yeah, when I went home in between second and third year, I had knee surgery. And I laid back, I read books. Like, I'd never read books for pleasure, never read books for the fun of it. And I remember I like broke things off with this girl I had been like exploring with, and I just told her the truth where I was just like, this is just fun for me and it's not exactly, you know, I'm not like looking for a relationship. And this is like me in denial being like, I'm not into girls. Yeah, I wrote a lot and I went to physio like religiously and it was really positive. And then when I came back in my third year, I was still like coming through like the healing process, so I had to take my third year off. And so, but I went to all the practices and I watched them, and frig, my third year was just wild. Like I had biomechanics, I had abnormal psychology, I had like all these, you know, I was down about not being able to play rugby because that's why I was there. And I met this girl on my team that like I have never experienced such fluctuations in emotions and desire and like attraction. It was just wild. And so I was like on and off with this person throughout my third and fourth year and the half of my like fifth year. But I kept everything a secret. I kept absolutely everything a secret from my team, secret from my teammates. There was lots of like lying, but I fell for this person like hard. And they were on my rugby team, and it was up and down and lots of chaos. And I don't even know how to explain it because it was just the same story over and over and over again. I'd do something, she'd do something, someone would hit on someone else because no one knew that we were like actually together, but then there was just like games played and like other friends involved, and it was just wild. And for a large part of that year it was super fun and explorative, and I was like telling more friends about like me exploring my sexuality and stuff like that, and it's really cool. I actually talked to a friend I hadn't talked to in in like 10 years from university yesterday, and we were just talking about this, and it's like university is nuts, okay? Especially university rugby or any sports team. You get like all these kids, and we are kids. Like I'm 32 years old, and I still feel like I'm like just grew up a little bit. But you get all of these kids that like are like extremely driven. Like I bet a lot of us have trauma, and like I know I did. Like, and I remember some of my not my coaches, but like teammates were just psycho, like, and so in a good way, like in a really good way, but like the things and the drinking games and the parties and like the emotions and like the like just we had no communication skills, and we had no like it was really fucking tough. Anyway, I had all of the fun, but I will say that like my third and fourth and tail end of university were probably I had some of the darkest moments of my entire life, because I feel now, looking back, all Amanda really wanted was to be loved and for someone to show up for her. And I got in a wicked car accident, got a concussion. Like, rolled my car like 5 times, ended up on the other side of the divided highway facing oncoming traffic, and like all these like really and like hurting myself and my knees. And I could go into a whole lot more details about like university, but that's like it in a nutshell. And when I made it through third year and was like, wow, okay, I don't think I'm just experimenting with girls. I think I'm like actually a lesbian. And then like having to navigate like not telling my family or anything like that, and just like they'd be like, oh, you're on a team full of lesbians, and I would hate that because I would be like screaming inside. But then when I went back for my fourth year, I was like fit. On top of it, I had like gone through all of the rehab for my knee, and I like came back, and like I remember that year we won nationals, and I was like elated, and it was really amazing. But there was still like a lot of the rugby practices I was super depressed because I was like going through all this emotional stuff with this person that I was in love with, and she was a roller coaster just as much as I was a roller coaster, but I feel like I was definitely more of the roller coaster. I'd get super jealous and all of this stuff, and like school was kind of okay and went through the breezes, but yeah, there was a lot of ups and downs and emotional fluctuations. And if I were to do it all over again, I don't even know if I would go to university, to be honest. I would go with a whole different mindset, and like, I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, I was really like I was really, I feel like I missed a year when I left in my third year. My second year was kind of a write-off, so when I came back from my fourth year, I was like on top of it. Like it was a really fucking good year playing rugby. But I remember winning that championship, and I remember I was like, I should feel more excited about this. Like I remember winning my high school championship, and I was like elated, like I went insane. But like that that game, I remember it was super, there were some injuries on our team, so people were out, and I remember just being like feeling like relief that it was over. And then even like celebrating that national championship, I remember there was some drama and some craziness. And so like the the rugby team, there were people who I created exquisite bonds with, like exquisite bonds with, and I still carry a lot of shame around like the things I did and like the drama I created and the relationships that like I let go of and shouldn't have let go of. But hindsight is 2020, and I think after my conversation with an old friend that I hadn't talked to in like 10 years yesterday really healed a lot of those, like, hey, I wasn't the only person having a really hard time, and I wasn't the only person like that had no an unregulated nervous system and was having and like just felt alone. Like it was lonely. Like there were some moments where I remember I would just like smoke a ton of weed and cry and write and take my dog for a walk and like go for drives out towards like Cape Breton and just like, yeah, just super super sad. um but it wasn't all bad. Like again, like it was a place of community, and rugby really is a place of community. And since I really feel like I got only 2 good years out of St. FX playing rugby, I went back for a fourth year. I was going to go back for a fourth year, or sorry, a fifth year. And I wanted to take some art classes. I wanted it to be a year where I did me and did what I want to do. And I love taking those art classes. But the rugby it was not good. It was not good. And I think, yeah, I had another knee surgery. That's what happened. I had another knee surgery. So I ended up just going back to university, not playing rugby. And this is like, I cannot emphasize this enough. This was just me doing all of the wrong things for the wrong reasons, like doing the things for the wrong reasons. And I went back to university because I was like, this will be a really great place for me to rehab, and I want to take this year. But like my fifth year that I went back, like I got really distant from the rugby team. I developed friendships with other unexpected friendships, and honestly, my friend Sam and I, who are still friends to this day, I don't know if we would be as close as we are today had I not gone back for that year. And like that's enough reason to go back for a fifth year in itself. But yeah, the person that I had been like in love with for a while, like I remember she showed up on my doorstep my first day back, and we had a chat, like slept together. And I remember that night she's just like, I can't do this anymore, I'm gonna date someone else and I'm moving in with them. And I remember just being like, you CUNT, like and that was like, I'm so tired of being dragged around emotionally, and I'm so tired of being like manic, and I'm so tired of being bipolar, and I'm so tired of feeling just like useless. And yeah, that was about that was pretty much my university experience. And like I did okay and I graduated and I did, but I learned a lot. But I remember saying to myself, like, because I was going to do a full fifth year. And then when this happened and when I like my knee healed, and I just like energetically was like, F rugby. Like, I feel like I didn't get the support that I needed. And I just felt like an outsider on my own team that I feel like I carried quite strongly and played a really pinnacle role with, like, being the kind of team therapist. Because that was the cool thing. Like my people would just come to I would like open up my apartment and there'd be like a teammate sleeping on my couch, and there'd always be like any of these like emotional like fucking ups and downs and stuff. It'd be like, go talk to Bedard, she'll help you. And it's like, well, I can help everyone else, but I couldn't help myself. But when I left there, I remember thinking like, it was kind of a relief. It was so sad because I felt like there were so many like loose ends. There was a lot of places that I really needed closure, and I feel like I still need closure today. But I remember leaving and I was like, I'm going to go do what I want to do. And I'm going to go travel. And I'm going to go to like every music festival ever. And I'm going to like make up for these 4.5 years of just a traumatizing, like manic up and down experience with a lot of love and a lot of fun and a lot of like just deep connections, but like those deep connections really didn't outweigh what was like extremely just like sad. And it's not university's fault, it's my fault, but we will get into the post-university experience tomorrow. Okay, or tomorrow, or whenever it feels energetically ready, because I feel like it was really, really nice to have a break and to connect with this friend of mine that if she watches this, you know who you are. Okay. I love you. Goodbye.